We have Shane Johnson. He's majoring in microbiology. He also serves as a student leader. He is a veteran, served in the Army. In 2011, he was deployed out to Afghanistan. It was a part of Operation New Dawn. He's also a CCC to NAU student transferring to NAU. So please welcome the stage for his Unity piece, Shane Johnson.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Derek, for the introduction. It's a real privilege to be here. It wasn't so long ago that I was doing repossession work with my cousin. I didn't have any direction and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. We had driven 2 hours north to Mora, Minnesota just to get a car and drive back. We did this every day, drove hours out of the way for 1 or 2 cars and drove back just to do it again. When we found this particular car, I popped the lock on the passenger's door and hopped in. I frantically looked around for a spare key somewhere in the car to make a quick escape. As I was rummaging through the car, my cousin was pounding on the door, trying to get someone to come out and talk to us. I couldn't find a key, so I sat still and cranked on the window. I suddenly heard the door open and slam shut, and I saw a man barreling towards the car. I frantically rolled up the window and made sure all the doors were locked. He yelled at me to get out of his car and ran to the driver's side. He put the key in the door, grabbed the broken handle, and ripped the door open. He sat down in the driver's seat next to me and ordered me out. I stated that the car was no longer his, that it belonged to the bank. But in his fit of rage, he screamed at me to leave the car or I was coming with him. We had traveled 2 hours to get this car, so I wasn't about to get out. He put the key in the ignition, and I reached for it, but he violently pushed me away. He started the car and threw it in reverse. Panicked, I rolled down the window and threw my keys at my cousin as we tore out of the driveway. Soon we were going 60 miles an hour down the neighborhood roads, and I was pleading with the man to stop before he had killed us both, but rage had completely taken over. Soon the police were behind us, and some reason had returned to him. As soon as we stopped, he was put in the back of the police car, and we explained to the officer that we were there to repossess his car. I drove his car back to our shop, knowing that would be one of the last cars that I ever took. I was 19 years old and had a lot more to live for than joyrides across rural Minnesota. A week later, knowing I wasn't ready for college, I went with my friend to the recruiter's office, and 2 months after that, I was shipping off to Basic as an Army medic 1 month before my 20th birthday. After my training, I was stationed in Fairbanks, Alaska, and a month later, I was told I would be deploying to Afghanistan. I was going to be part of the treatment team for an aid station, a relatively safe job, working with a doctor. However, when we got to Afghanistan, there was a last-minute switch and I was suddenly responsible for the health of 40 infantrymen. For the next year, we lived on a small combat outpost with no running water, eating field rations. Although the living conditions were poor and the work was always thankless and exhausting, it was the first time I'd ever felt like I was part of something greater than myself. When the year was up, we headed back to Alaska. People think of leaving deployment as coming home, but I wasn't going home. When I returned to Fort Wainwright, there was no celebration or fanfare, no family or friends waiting with flags. Everyone I knew was 3,000 miles away. I turned to my weapon and went back to an empty room. Like so many other veterans after I got back, I felt really alone in my experience. Day after day, I saw the same destructive behavior and tired looks in those I was interacting with in the clinic and within my platoon. The same guys that I had shown incredible grit through the past year now looked lost. Who were we without the mission that we were serving? Now that we were back in Alaska, there were rules and regulations on base along with early mornings and pointless tasks. I went from helping people who needed urgent medical attention to early mornings at the motor pool fixing vehicles that drove us to training exercises. It was also hard to adjust because I was not the same person that I was before deployment. Family and friends who once have comforted me could not possibly have understood me or comforted me. The only people who I could relate to were the people who had gone through the same things that I did. At first, it seemed like we had lost that group mentality, the focus was no longer on the group, it was on other things. As people who are traumatized often do, many of us turned inward and tried to deal with things on our own. It was easy to keep to yourself because everyone had their own space and many had their own families and homes. In addition to all this, we had been around the same 30 to 40 people for the last year, but now there are many other people in the mix. In our case, the more people made it easier to isolate yourself. In the clinic, I saw people who didn't want to reach out for help and were struggling with PTSD and alcoholism. People failed to reach out because of the stigma involved with going to someone else to solve their personal problems, especially if it was something that wasn't visible. There are many forgotten groups throughout the country, people who have a problem that other people don't want to deal with, so they unify to overcome it. For me, the people that helped me through post-deployment were two of my friends, Nick and Austin. The three of us met when we got to Alaska, but were separated during deployment. Once we got back, we spent our time hiking, playing video games, and distracting each other from what we weren't ready to face. Most of you probably have people like this in your lives, people who love you unconditionally and genuinely want to see you succeed. No matter your story or how you got here, we're all here with a common goal, to learn. Everyone has something to contribute, and everyone has something to gain from the experience of others. The whole point of being in college is not only to learn from your books or even your professors, it's to learn from each other. Lately, we've been made to believe that we are more divided than united, but if you look more closely, you'll see that this isn't true. Scores of people came out to protest the deaths of Sandra Bland, Freddie Gray, Trayvon Martin, Eric Gardner, Tamir Rice, and Philando Castile. In January, millions of Americans marched for women's rights across the country. And after the travel ban was enacted, lawyers turned up at airports across the country to fight for the rights of those who were detained. This proves that there's hope of unity and peace even during times of turmoil. You don't have to be part of the LGBTQ community to believe that love is love. You don't have to be a person of color to believe that Black lives matter. You don't have to identify as a woman to believe that women should have equal rights and equal pay. And you don't have to be a veteran to believe that those who have served deserve the proper care and support. Everyone can be an ally in the face of injustice. Paul Wellstone, a late senator from my home state of Minnesota, once said, "We all do better when we all do better." I hope that we can all continue to do better together. Thank you.